Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Monday Book Talk with me, AnnaLee Dragon, the director of the Kinderhook Memorial Library. So we are wrapping up our summer reading program tomorrow, Tuesday, and the theme this year was Tales and Tales, and it was animals and stories, fairy tales. And I did a book talk on animal books, I don't know, a while ago, sometime in the last year. And so I thought, what was some more fertile ground that we could try out something new? I mean, there are always more animal books to talk about, and I am happy to do that at a future date. But I really thought it might be fun to take a look at kind of adult spins on classic fairy tales, maybe alternate tellings, maybe retellings, maybe fairy tale-like stories, because there are a large number of these in our fiction section, but also just in the book world at this point. Gregory Maguire is one of the big names. He's the one who wrote Wicked, which was a different take on The Wizard of Oz. And so he's done some others, Mirror, Mirror, and some other, and I'm going to discuss one of his today. But there are just a number of authors who have done this take of just like, what is a classic fairy tale, and either modernizing it or telling an alternate viewpoint or just a spin-off of it. And I think it's really fun, and I thought it stuck with our summer reading thing that we're wrapping up. So I've got 5 books for you. I'm going to show you the cover and then talk about the book, and show you the cover and then talk about the book. And then at the end, I will put all of the covers again. So if you missed a title or author, you'll be able to catch it then. All 5 that I am listing this week are here in our library right now. They're also available throughout the system, and some of them are available on Hoopla or Overdrive. So let's get started with some adult fairy tales. This book I read a few years ago and just adored it. It's called Uprooted by Naomi Novik, as you saw there. It was a Nebula Award winner and a Hugo Award finalist. Rick Riordan, who writes children's fantasy books, really fantastic books, said that if you want a fantasy with strong characters and brilliantly original variations on ancient stories, try Uprooted. This was, I don't know, it was called Breathtaking, a tale that is elegantly grand and earthily humble. It's familiar, like a Grimm fairy tale, but as a modern new take on it. So, and it was named one of the best books of the year by NPR in the year that it came out, along with Book Page and Library Journal and all the stuff that I usually talk about. So the main character, Agnieszka, loves her home valley, her quiet village, the forests, the bright shining river, but the corrupted wood stands on the border, full of malevolent power, and its shadow lies over her life. Her people rely on the cold-driven wizard, known only as the Dragon, to keep its powers at bay, but he demands a terrible price for his help. One young woman handed over to serve him for 10 years, a fate almost as terrible as falling to the wood. The next choosing is fast approaching, and Agnieszka is afraid. She knows, everyone knows, that the dragon will take Kasia, beautiful, graceful, brave Kasia, and all the things that Agnieszka isn't, and her dearest friend in the world. So there's no way to save her. So it says that Agnieszka actually is fearing the wrong things. For when the dragon comes, it's not Kasia he will choose. So this has all of the elements, the scary wood, right? And the kind of cautionary tale stuff. And also the idea that things can be not as they seem. It's like a game of telephone. People tell tales and things get distorted and stories change over time. And sometimes things are not as they seem. And this is a book like that. And I adored it. And it is this very fairy tale setting. And the way it's written is very evocative of the traditional fairy tales. And I loved it. So I've read some other books by her since then. They're fantastic as well. But if you haven't read Uprooted by Naomi Novik, I would highly suggest it. Okay, next book. This title may look familiar to a lot of you because I know this was one of our book clubs read this at one point, and it was obviously a hugely popular book, so you may have heard of this one, The Tiger's Wife by Thea Obrecht. This was a National Book Award finalist and a New York Times bestseller, and they say that she spins a tale of such marvel and magic in a literary voice so enchanting that the mesmerized reader wants her never to stop. So it was named one of the 10 best books of the year by the New York Times and the Library Journal, a bunch of really important book review sources. It's not brand new. The great thing is all these books I'm discussing are not brand new, which means they're sitting here waiting or on shelves at other libraries, so you don't have to wait if you want to read one of them. So this says, weaving a brilliant lattice work of family legend, loss, and love, Thea Obrecht has spun a timeless novel that will establish her as one of the most vibrant original authors of her generation. It's pretty high praise. In a Balkan country mending from war, Natalia, a young doctor, is compelled to unravel the mysterious circumstances surrounding her beloved grandfather's recent death. Searching for clues, well, she turns to his worn copy of The Jungle Book and the stories he told her of his encounters over the years with the Deathless Man. But most extraordinary of all is the story her grandfather never told her, the legend of the tiger's wife. So it says that it never slips entirely into magical realism, and that's part of its magic. Its graceful commingling of contemporary realism and village legend seems to be even more absorbing. So I haven't read this one yet, but this is now on my list after doing this research because it looks fantastic. So if you haven't yet read The Tiger's Wife, it's another fairy tale like, and it involves actually a traditional fairy tale, The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. So that's the next recommendation. Okay, here's the next book. As you saw the cover there, this book is by Gregory Maguire, who I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, who wrote Wicked and has written a bunch of other books like this. But this one, Hidden Sea, A Tale of the Once and Future Nutcracker, is obviously about the Nutcracker. So he is obviously the author of Wicked, and he is returning with an inventive novel inspired by a timeless holiday legend, intertwining the story of the famous Nutcracker with the life of the mysterious toy maker named Drosselmeyer who carves him. So Hidden Sea is an actual place. It's an island of white sandy beaches, salt marshes, steep cliffs, and pine forests north of Berlin in the Baltic Sea, an island that is an enchanting bohemian retreat and home to a large artist colony, a wellspring of inspiration for a romantic imagination. Perfect setting for a modern day fairy tale, right? Having brought his legions of devoted readers to Oz in Wicked and Wonderland in After Alice, Maguire is taking us to realms of the Brothers Grimm and E.T.A. Hoffmann, the enchanted Black Forest of Bavaria, and the salons of Munich. So Hidden Sea imagines the backstory of the Nutcracker, revealing how this entrancing creature came to be carved and how he guided an ailing girl named Clara through a dreamy paradise on Christmas Eve. So I guess this is as we're a little far from the holidays, and I don't actually know the fairy tale of the Nutcracker at all. I've seen the play, but I don't know the story really other than that. And I love when he does this because what he does is he tells you a part that hasn't been told yet. So Wicked, for those of you who haven't seen it or heard about it, is the story from the Wicked Witch's point of view, and she's not actually as she is portrayed. As I said, things are not always as they seem. And so I love that he takes a tale that everybody is familiar with and then gives you this new lens to look at it through, a new way to think about it, which is what makes it fresh and exciting. So the setting is perfect fairy tale, and I think he draws inspiration from the traditional fairy tales, but it's something a little different, a twist to go with it, which I love. So Hidden Sea, A Tale of the Once and Future Nutcracker by Gregory Maguire. Okay, next book. So we have here an AnnaLee Dragon all-time favorite author, Neil Gaiman. I talk about him constantly whenever I'm doing Reader's Advisory because I feel like there's a Neil Gaiman book for everybody. So for this book talk, I am focusing on Stardust because it is, to me, the most fairy tale-like, although I've talked about Neverwhere before, and that's a very steampunky Alice in Wonderland kind of take. Stardust is more of a classic romanticized kind of fairy tale. So it says that an enchanting fairy tale by a master storyteller full of unexpected adventures, true love, whimsy, wonder, and plenty of magic. Tristan Thorne will do anything to win the cold heart of beautiful Victoria Forrester, even fetch her to the star they watch fall from the night sky. But to do so, he must enter the unexplored lands on the other side of the ancient wall that gives their tiny village its name. Beyond that stone barrier, Tristan learns lies Fairy and the most exhilarating adventure of the young man's life. And Fairy is a really strange, as you might be able to tell from the name of it, it's a very strange place and things operate differently there. So it is a tale of dark and miraculous, a quest for true love and the utterly impossible. So what is not to love about that? They did make a movie of it, which is not very similar to the book from what I've heard. But the movie starred Michelle Pfeiffer, Claire Danes, Sienna Miller, Robert De Niro, big names. So if you've seen the movie, you still might want to read the book because I think it's a little different. But the book was fantastic. My brother actually just finished reading it and was going on and on about how wonderful it was. So if you haven't yet checked out a Neil Gaiman book, maybe Stardust is a good introduction if you're looking for fairy tale. Okay, I have one more for you this week. So the last book I wanted to talk about is called The Ice Queen by Alice Hoffman. And she does write books that have sort of a magical realism and a fantasy sort of element, but I had not read this one yet, and it fits right in with our theme. So it's a fairy tale for grown-ups. I argue all fairy tales could be for grown-ups, which brings together, as only Hoffman can, the fabulous and the real, chaos theory and the irrational everyday moment in a compelling, haunting and sexy novel with a sharp edge. So the story begins with a little girl who makes a wish one snowy night and ruins her life. She grows up with a splinter of ice in her heart until one day, standing by her kitchen window, she is struck by lightning. Instead of killing her, the cataclysmic event sparks off a new beginning. She seeks out Lazarus Jones, a fellow lightning survivor. He is her opposite, a burning man whose breath can boil water and whose touch scorches. As an obsessive love affair begins between the two of them, they are forced to hide their most dangerous secrets, what turned one to ice and the other to fire. The Ice Queen is a haunting story of passion, loss, second chances, and the secrets that come to define us if we're not careful. So this has all elements of traditional fairy tales, and I am excited about it, but it really does sound like it's written for a more adult audience. Like I said, fairy tales can be really for anybody. I argue the Grimm fairy tales, I mean, they're the Brothers Grimm for a reason. Those are hard to read. They're very sad, often tragic. And so I don't know that there are lighter themes. This one sounds like it involves more romantic love and passion, which may be why it's aimed more at an adult audience. But if you have read and loved other Alice Hoffman books, or if you never have read one of hers, but you like this sort of book, this sort of magical realism stuff, and fairy tales, this might be the perfect book for you. So I have all 5 of these on the shelf. I hope you will come check one out and tell me what you think of it, or if you have other books that you think fit this theme, because there are a lot, let me know and I'll tell you if I've read it. Maybe we can talk about it. So thank you everyone for joining me. I will see you next week. Good luck in summer reading raffles. If you're part of that, we will be notifying winners tomorrow or Wednesday, I think. So you will know soon. Thank you all so much for participating this summer, and we hope to see you very soon in the library. Bye everyone.